15 seconds is all it takes to install spy tracking app on somebody's phone. Now that it's on the phone, I can get a copy of every message, every picture, and track the phone's location in real time. The software is invisible on the phone unless you know where to look. So grab your phone, let me show you where to look. Before we get into this is the Creep's website. This is all the information that is gathered from the moment that they install the spy software on the phone. So for example, here is all the web history. So everything that I typed on the phone on the right hand side gets fed through to the Creep directly, including every picture that I snap on that phone gets uploaded. He gets access to that. And what about keystrokes? Every single thing that I type, email addresses, password, messages, all of that gets simply sent directly to the Creep. But wait, there is even more. Besides location history, it also takes screenshots of what the phone screen looks like, including any apps that you're logging into. This is the definition of an invasion of privacy, and it's not okay. Look, it's one thing to keep an eye out on your kid who just got their driver's license, or to keep tabs on an elderly parent who tends to wander off. That is done with their permission. It's a whole other story to watch someone without their permission so you can read their private messages. So now that you've seen how this works, let's reverse the step that the Creep would need to follow to install this type of app. Firstly, for somebody to track your phone, they will need physical access to your device. We know it's possible to trick someone to get them to install an update, or hey honey, check out this latest funny video. But let's be honest, it's a lot easier to grab somebody's phone whilst they're in the shower or watching TV and enter their PIN. So, should anybody else really know the PIN on your phone? Before the Creep is even able to install the app on the phone, it needs to do one thing. It needs to disable something called Play Protect. This is Google's system that checks the apps for malicious usage and prevents these dodgy apps from being installed in the first place. It is on by default. If this is off, that is an insanely red flag. On your phone, open up Settings, click on the search, and then simply type there Play Protect, and then look to see if you have that option. Now you can clearly see that on this particular Google Pixel phone, it doesn't have Play Protect. Some things are going to be slightly different on various phones. So I'm going to look for something called App Security. Yes, it has got that. And then this says, okay, that's looking good, so it's already a positive sign. But if you scroll down, it says App Security, and under App Security, there is Play Protect. And you can clearly see that on this particular phone, it's enabled. If I disable it, the message will pop up saying, hey, do not do this. So I'm going to leave mine enabled. Check yours immediately. Okay, next, let's check the feature that allows your phone to install these unknown apps. On your phone, go to Settings, look at the search options, and then type there Install Unknown. And we're looking for an option that looks like this, Install Unknown Apps. And there is the option. Click on that. And now we're going to go look through the list of apps, and we're going to look for where it says Allowed. You can see here, Chrome is allowed. And what does this mean? Well, it means that you're saying to your phone, hey, if Chrome wants to install any app, I'm okay with that. In your phone settings, click on the search and type their apps. We're not done with the apps yet. We want to make sure that all the apps that are installed are actually legit. Now you're scrolling down and you see an app that you may or may not be legit. Let's just use this thing called SmartThings. What is SmartThings? Well, click on that app. Click on the icon, scroll all the way to the bottom until it says Store, and here it tells you where the app was installed from. In this particular case, the Google Play Store, and you can clearly see this is a Samsung app. Do this with the apps you don't recognize to make sure the apps on your phone are legit. But here's the problem. A spyware app isn't going to be called spyware or stalkerware. You will instantly remove it if you see something like this. Watch this. This app wants you to configure the option to allow to appear on top of other apps. Now, once we know that, what we can do is go check our own services to see which apps are allowed to run on top of other apps. So, back into the phone settings we go. We're going to click on search and we're going to type there display over other apps. Essentially what this is a facility that allows certain apps just to run on top of other apps, as the name suggests. Now, there's really legitimate reasons for this to be allowed, but usually most apps will run by themselves and have no need. So go through the list of apps that you have. Is there anything that is allowed? Like Google is allowed because that's the operating system. It would be super weird if Lyft was allowed to be displayed over, let's just say, the Uber app. Notice how the spyware was called Internet Service? They will use name like Android Service or Google Data Collection or whatever name that makes you question whether you should or shouldn't remove it. If you're unsure if an app is supposed to be there, just Google it. There was an app called Android System Intelligence. I didn't know what that was. Simple Google search reveals that it's legit. Okay, next up, we're going to check the battery. Back into settings we go, and under search, we're going to type there battery. Now, this is very, very important. Spyware apps are notoriously very, very battery heavy because they're constantly running, constantly getting your GPS location, constantly sending your texts and your messages and your photos back to that server. So under your battery, we have to go look and see which apps are running and how long they've been running for. Now, because these apps are super sneaky, we have to check something called special access. Right, back into settings we go, click on search and type there special access or special app access depending on your phone. Mine is special app access. I'm going to click on that, and then when I go into that menu, I'm going to see something called all file access. Now this is critical. Go into the all file access and then you'll see some apps which have got the allowed permission, like Adobe Acrobat. Allow this app to read, modify and delete all files on this device without your explicit knowledge. Why? Why does Adobe need that? No, I'm going to disable. We're going to see something called Premium SMS. We're going to want to go into that menu. Now, Premium SMS may cost you money and will add up to your carrier bills. Essentially, some of these apps sneak premium SMSs, they send themselves messages, and then you get the bill for it. They make money off that. I always set mine to ask. Let's head back into the special app access. We're going to scroll down until we're going to see something called usage access. We're going to click into that. Now, some things are allowed, some things are not allowed. Let's look at what this does. What this does is allows the app to track what other apps you're using and how often, as well as carrier language settings and other details. So we know that this particular app should have those permissions, but should your other apps have this permission? Go and check yours. Reddit, for example, should definitely not have that, so I'm going to disable that. Right, back to the special app access menu, and we're going to scroll down until we see something called Wi-Fi control. Airbnb, for some reason, has got the allowed permission. What this does is allow Airbnb to turn my Wi-Fi on or off, scan and connect to Wi-Fi networks, add or remove networks, or start a local-only hotspot. Why does Airbnb need to be able to do that? Absolutely not. I'm going to disable that. So go back to your special access folder, go down to the bottom until it says turn screen on and click on that. Now, what this does, let's look at a game called 1942. Great game. But it has the on ability, which means it can turn on my screen without my explicit intent. Why does a game need to turn my screen on? I am going to switch that off immediately. Look, I know that was a lot, but it's important. And remember, anything that you toggled off can always be turned back on again. If something needs a certain thing that you switched off, it will tell you. So don't panic about doing the wrong thing. In most cases, the phone's core working operating system will not let you switch anything off that it absolutely needs. Okay, remember how on the dashboard the creep would see what we do on the phone? And that is because the app takes a lot of screenshots of our phone. Sometimes these apps are stupid enough to leave those screenshots in the screenshot folder. So have a quick look around there and see if there's any screenshots you didn't take. And as you saw, the Stalkerware app sends all the information back to the company so that the stalker can see it on the dashboard. And you know what that means? That means data. And back to the settings we go, click on search, and this time we're going to type in there data usage. When that pops up, we're going to look for the mobile data. I'm going to tap on that, and we're going to look for a list of applications that are currently using my phone to send out data. Now, go through that list. Is there anything in here that you do not recognize? If your phone allows you to compare data usage month over month, do that. See if a certain month you use a certain number of data, and this month you've used 3x that data. Again, something's up. And if your phone allows you to have a data warning, definitely set that. You want to know that as soon as you hit a certain threshold, you need to be alerted, because if you're not doing anything more than you normally would and you hit that limit right at the beginning of the month, well, something is definitely up. You got to check out what it is. And of course, those creeps want to know where you are. So let's make sure they don't have access to location as well. You know the drill by now. Go into settings, go into search, and this time we're going to type in there location, and we're going to type on location, and location is currently on for Google and Tile and all this other good reasons to have location on. We're going to go through the recent access. What is using my location? I just want to have a quick scan through, make sure it's everything that I do recognize. Now underneath that, you got app location permission. This is a list of all the apps that you have allowed to use your GPS location. Now, some of them are allowed all the time, and some are allowed only when you're using the app. Go through your list, make sure that the ones that are allowed all the time should actually be allowed all the time. Something else that needs to be aware of is use precise location. Perhaps I'm using my phone and I'm using my Fitbit, but does it need to know right down to the nth degree of where I am, or is an approximate location okay? Now, under location, if you scroll down, you got location services. Now, in this particular case, I've got earthquake alerts and emergency, so those are all fine to be on. But the one I want to check out is Google location sharing. Does anyone else have access to where I currently am? If there is, and they shouldn't be there, remove them. And speaking of location, we've all heard of those stories of AirTags being used to follow people and track people. If you have an iPhone, it will tell you that there is a random AirTag nearby. But if you have an Android, well, then you must do this to check for AirTags. This time, it's not the search, but the Google Play Store. We're going to look for something called Tracker Detect. Now, the top one is a paid for version. I don't know what that one is. The one that we want is the one called Tracker Detect, and it's made by Apple. It's got this logo. Don't buy the wrong one. This is absolutely free, and this allows you to press the scan button and it will scan for AirTags near you. So here's an example. I've got an unknown AirTag near me right now. We've covered a lot here, but this is super critical. You wouldn't believe the number of DMs that I get from husbands, wife, boyfriend, girlfriends who say that their other half is stalking them. What is also scary is just how many